On today's show, should the Ottawa Senators feel satisfied after 1 point against the Edmonton Oilers?
Does Jordan Spence deserve to be healthy scratched again? And Captain Brady Tkachuk updates on his injury.
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Today is Wednesday, October 22nd, and Pilsy, despite another loss, this one in overtime, Senators head coach Travis Green and Thomas Chabot, who spoke to the media after the game, seemed pretty happy with the performance.
Yeah, I mean, certainly they were happier than they've been in the past. I would say content would be a good way to describe it. Like, the Sens played an okay game up against a team that usually dominates them. Sure, they were down 2-0 for the first 40 minutes and 13 seconds, but they stormed back, got 2 goals in a minute and 35-second span, brought it to overtime. Taking a penalty in overtime, whether that penalty is warranted or not, we can discuss that later. But being shorthanded when you're a terrible penalty-killing team in overtime, not necessarily a recipe for success. And Jake Wallman gets the goal off the faceoff on the power play for the Oilers in his first game of the season since returning from injury. A knuckle puck that Allmark probably didn't read the way he thought he wanted to. But Ross, like, this team has been struggling to even stay competitive in games and to allow less than 5 goals a game. So I think most Sens fans were content, maybe even happy with getting an overtime loss. I know, hindsight, before the game, I said in the episode, hey, if they can find a way to get to OT and get 1 point, I'll consider that a victory. And that's what they did.
But it's one thing for the fans to think that way.
Yes.
Do you not want to see a little more fire and say, hey, it was better, but it wasn't good enough?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you would like to see that, but you have to look at where things are in reality. The Ottawa Senators just lost games to the Buffalo Sabres and New York Islanders in regulation. So when you can compete and push a team that's made it to the Stanley Cup Finals in back-to-back years to overtime, even though you don't get the win, you got to be happier with that than getting those regulation losses up against some teams that really should be in the bottom of the standings.
Okay, I'll buy that. But the quotes were, Thomas Chabot said, we saw Ottawa Senators hockey tonight. Is going down 2-0 a staple of their game? Because it has been for parts of this season. They've allowed the first goal in 6 out of 7 games. Is that Sens hockey? I'm being a bit facetious. I know he's talking about the way they came back. They stuck together. It didn't matter what the score was. And they were able to find a way to tie it in the third period. 2 quick goals. Reminiscent of Buffalo, 2 quick goals early in the third period. Mm-hmm. This time, they didn't give it right back. So they're, again, step in the right direction.
And the Oilers called the timeout immediately after. If you remember, that's what happened in Buffalo. Lindy Ruff's like, oh my God, we can't allow this to slip. And then Buffalo scored 2 quick ones right after. So, I mean, you got to try to find some silver linings here, Ross. This team is 2-4-1 as their record. Now, if you'll allow me, I took a heavy dose of copium this morning. Oh. And for Habs fans that are watching, bonjour.
With milk or black?
Milk and sugar in this copium.
Lots of sugar?
Yeah, really sweeten this one. So, Ross, the Ottawa Senators are 8th in the wild card race. Okay, so 8th in the wild card race. Only the Buffalo Sabres and Tampa Bay Lightning are below them in points with 4. The Ottawa Senators have 5. However, the Ottawa Senators are only 2 points out of a wild card spot.
No way.
That the Philadelphia Flyers have. Oh, yes, you see where I'm going with this. The Philadelphia Flyers have that spot with 7 points. The Philadelphia Flyers are the Ottawa Senators' next opponent tomorrow. Watch the Locked On Senators podcast for a game preview of that. Anywhere you get your podcast, on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, etc. Like and subscribe. And also, the Ottawa Senators are only 3 points back from being third in the Atlantic Division. So, look, it might look bad, and your thumb and fingers might hurt scrolling down to the bottoms of the standings trying to find the Ottawa Senators, but if they can string along a couple wins, they can stay in this race here. And maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I put too much sugar in my copium this morning, but that's the way I tried to look at this. So that 1 point gives a little boost here. You'd rather that than be tied for dead last with the Sabres and Lightning.
I think Ottawa owes Philly a good one after what happened early last season, where they outshot Philly, I think 40-20, and Allmark let in that goal from the corner from Michkov in overtime. Remember, 5-4 was the score. That can't happen again. That may as well have been the Islanders game from last Saturday, except Ottawa got a point against Philly, at least didn't allow a goal with 1 minute and 5 seconds left. And we'll get to how that influenced another decision, scratching Jordan Spence, getting Nick Matt-Palo in, but we'll save that because I think there is more to uncover in this topic too.
How do you feel about that approach that I had? Is that like extreme glass half full, or is it just like ridiculous?
No, I think it's ridiculous to even be saying the Sens are anywhere out of a race when it's 7 games into the season. Okay.
So you have a healthy dose of copium every morning. You didn't even need to put extra in.
Oh, I always have 2, but I'm not sweetening them up as much as you are. I'm just being realistic. There's lots of hockey to play. The Sens are 1-2-1 without their captain. You get a win against Philly, you're right back into it. It's that early in the season, but it's the trends that we need to see start getting better. So maybe that's Ottawa Senators hockey, is now not giving up a lead when you get close in Buffalo, or in this case, tie it, where you're not just going to allow the other team to quick strike offense as well. That's what I'll go with. But too many times this season, twice against Buffalo and against the Islanders, where it was like quick succession where the other team just pounces on them. So I think on top of what we've beaten to death with the penalty kill, 33% success rate last night, dead last in the NHL on the regular season, you have to take the little victories. And Philly's power play is not near what we saw last night. I think that's the understatement of the day. So focus on the penalty kill, of course. But the other aspects of the game, momentum-wise, is going to be a big part of the next couple of games. Because after Philly at home, then you go out to Washington against a very good hockey team. And then you got a back-to-back Monday, Tuesday against 2 teams that there's going to be pressure on you to win those games. Divisionally against Boston, at home, and then on the road against Chicago, where the Senators snapped the curse last year and Tim Stützle scored in overtime. Wasn't easy, though. That was a back-and-forth game, too, pinballing. So the Sens, I think, just get to consistent hockey, and it's easier said than done without your captain. I can respect that, but this is a game that you have to be acting as though, let's use Brady's words, Pilsy, Game 7 mentality.
Yeah, how many? So they played 7 games so far. So we're gonna see, math guy, 76 game 7s. No, 75 game 7s. We got 75 game 7s ahead of us. All right, sounds good. Ross, I wanted to talk about the line combos from last night, if you'll let me, because the Perron, Greg Cousins line, as our good friend Eric mentioned, the GCP line, the vibes are always free at the GCP. They were great analytically, as if you're watching on YouTube, Ross pulling up the lines. However, a line that I was not that happy with was the Cousins Stützle Batherson line, Stützle Cousins Batherson line, if we're reading it the way I read lines. Their advanced analytics were not good and have not been good for the whole season. According to moneypuck.com, they're sitting at a 28.6% goals expected rate here. So
yeah, I'm not worried.
So you're sticking with that, giving that a little bit more time, that experiment?
Yeah, for sure. I know it was a power play goal, but those 3 were the guys who made it happen. Stützle on the forecheck, Batherson with the turnover, Cousins with the shot. So I get it. You want
power
more?
Play? Yeah, I've got no issue with it. That's obviously.
No, but I'm saying they're still feeling each other offensively. They're getting to good spots. There's some cohesion. I don't want to see, like, Brady's not coming back anytime soon, and we'll talk about what Brady said later on in the show. But with Brady out long term, like, we can't be panicking every 2 games and changing the line. So I think that letting a 5-game sample size of Cousins, Stützle, and Batherson, just allowing them to gain chemistry naturally, that's going to be important. But I'm not disagreeing that they were good at 5-on-5 in last night's game. But I'm willing to at least go 3, 4, or maybe even 5 more games before starting to consider changing it.
All right, that's fair. 2 other things I wanted to note. Michael Amadio has been in the top 6 almost every game this year, at least since Brady's been injured. He's sitting at 0 points. Does that concern you?
Not so much, because he's going to finish with 27.
Yeah, of course. But he's got to get going if he's going to get there.
I would like to see him produce a bit offensively. He has been riding shotgun a lot with Shane Pinto, and those two obviously go up against the toughest competition. But last year, it felt like similar, right? Yeah, he went no points in his first 8 games last year, Pillsy. 1 point in his first 10, and then he started getting a little bit of some offensive rhythm going. Remember, he scored in those back-to-back wins. Boston in overtime. That was the OT game. Brady scored the winner, but he had a goal there right after he talked to Dean Brown, said he was going to be close, and then he scored the next night in Toronto. So, no, he doesn't need to get going to hit 27 points, Pillsy. He just needs to be Mr. March Amadio again like he was last year, and he'll be just fine. So, yeah, would I like a guy who's playing more minutes be producing more offense? Of course, but I don't think that he's a guy who's going to get finger pointing at as a guy who needs to step up to have this team get back on the right track.
Okay. And final point I wanted to make. Every time I saw that 4th line out there, I liked what they were doing. However, I mostly liked what Lars Eller and Ole Lexell were doing. It was another game where Fabian Zetterlund I couldn't think of a single good thing he saw, or where I was like, ooh, who's that? Oh, 20 Zetterlund. Nice. Like, man, I want to be a Zetterlund guy so bad. I like the idea of Zetterlund, but when your other 2 line mates on the 4th line are outshining you and you're supposed to be a top 6, maybe even you were intended to be a top line player, and you're not able to show anything, I'm starting to get concerned about Zetterlund here.
Yeah, we'll keep watching for that as the Senators are next in action tomorrow night against the Philadelphia Flyers. On the other side, more reaction about why the Senators thought they played a good game. We've got a quote from Travis Green to discuss, then a decision of Travis Green's to discuss. Jordan Spence out, Nicholas Matinpalo in, plus reaction to Brady Tkachuk's media availability from earlier today. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch. Guys, let's be honest here. Most of us can't name all of our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between your 401k, savings, investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. Don't do that. Start using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch will help you organize your accounts, track your spending, and get a better handle on your investments without ever having to touch a spreadsheet. None of us are proficient in Excel, let's be real. I love that you can review everything with your partner, see your shared goals, and make better financial decisions together. Monarch's visual dashboards and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where your money's going and how to make it work harder for you. So in this economy, don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Rougiette. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. And it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rougiette makes it easy to get started. You connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online. That means no awkward waiting rooms and no in-person appointments. The process is fast, simple, and private. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. Visit Rougiette.com/LockedOnNHL to get 15% off your order. That's Rougiette.com/LockedOnNHL REIT.com/LockedOnNHL. And don't forget to use our promo code LockedOnNHL so they know that we sent you. Rouge yet. Stop making excuses and start making moves. All right, Pillsy, tons more lineup conversation, injury updates coming later on in the show. It's a Wednesday night in the National Hockey League. There's just 3 games. The hate watching will take place at 7:30 when the Buffalo Sabres take on the red-hot Detroit Red Wings, who have won 5 games in a row and are 5-1 on the season.
A team you declared was going to finish last in the Atlantic Division.
Hey,
they're now first.
They have also made a history in the last 5 years, maybe 3, where it's late in the season, February, March, where the Red Wings plummet rather quickly. So it's early. I don't need copium for this. It's early, but it's a great start for the Red Wings. We're also rooting for the Calgary Flames tonight. It's never too early to root against the Montreal Canadiens, who are 5-2. The Flames have lost 6 straight games after winning their opener.
Yeah, darn.
So that is the out-of-town scoreboard tonight. And the Devils, who are 5-1 as well. They host Minnesota Wild. So some East versus West matchups tonight between New Jersey, Minnesota, and Calgary, Montreal. Pillsy, here's the quote I wanted to get to from Travis Green. And look, I think it's fair. I'm not here to jump down Travis Green's throat on this, and I'm not here to say that Thomas Chabot shouldn't be saying that he feels they're playing good hockey. I get it. You want to build confidence. The quote from Travis last night, I liked our game a lot. I didn't like that we didn't win, but that was a big step in the right direction.
2 words I would like to change. Well, technically 3.
I would like to remove words. You just want to change them?
Yes. Yeah. Well, okay. No. I would like to remove 2 words and change. No, actually, no. I'm with you. I would like to remove 3 words. I liked our game, period.
Yes.
Let's take out a lot. Let's take that out. I didn't like that we didn't win. Yep. I'm with you on that one, Travis. That was a step in the right direction. So let's take out a lot and big. I assume those are the words you were looking to remove?
Yes, they were.
Okay, good. We're on the same page.
Travis Green's decision to scratch Jordan Spence. He said that size went into the decision a lot. The direct quote talking about how he is a defenseman that plays hard when speaking about Nicholas Matin-Palo, and that they basically know what they're going to get. I'll read the whole quote because I do think it makes for an interesting discussion. When asked by Julian McKenzie, friend of the show, how much Travis Green considered size with the defensive pairings, he said a lot. Quote, both players, they're almost opposites of each other in a way. We like Matin-Palo. He played well for us last year, played at the Four Nations, good player. He's been looking for a chance to get Matin-Palo back in, and he felt like last night was one of those games that they were really stressing the style of hockey. So it goes on, and you can read the whole thing at Julian's article here. I'll pull it up for those watching on YouTube, but that's the gist of it. Do you agree with coaching to the opponent as a philosophy? And do you buy it, or is this a direct result of the mistake that Spence made that ended up in the back of the net with a minute left on Saturday?
I think a bit of both, right? Like Jordan Spence has 4 points in 4 games. So like, it's not like he's been terrible. And you do have to look at certain aspects of how you're deciding to set your lineup based on other teams. Now, the Oilers, that's an interesting one to go for size, since I think it's fair to say speed and skill is more their game than just straight up size. Although obviously they do have big players, but when you're trying to game plan against them, in my mind, it's like, okay, how do we stop their speed? Not really how do we stop their physicality or match the physicality. And maybe that's where you look at getting a bigger, stronger guy to try to stop the speed rather than having a smaller, speedier guy that you feel can try to better match their speed. I think it's it's tough that you bring Jordan Spence over and you healthy scratch him first 2 games, and then he makes one, albeit big mistake that leads to a game-winning goal that causes you not to get any points up against a team you should beat. That's a big deal. But to scratch him immediately after that is difficult, and it's especially difficult, Ross, when it seems glaringly obvious that Spence or Martin Palo are not the issue on the right side, and both of them probably deserve to be in the lineup. However, there is one guy on the right side that it seems obvious to everyone watching could use some more time to either recover or at least just get a break here. And of course, I'm talking about Nick Jensen. I don't want to get down on the guy. We said it. I don't want to go through the whole spiel of how much we respect his battling, et cetera, et cetera. We've already said all that. We don't need to fill time on the show talking about that. But it just seems that like he's been a guy that just is not ready to be back. And Ross, I'm still on the Money Puck page here of goals expected percentage. Sanderson Spence only played 12.4 minutes together, but they're second only behind the GCP line at 87.5%. And then you know who's third? Clevin Martin Palo at 80%. So for me, I think it would just make so much sense to give it a little bit more time, to give Sanderson and Spence as your top duo. Shabbat, I know everyone hasn't been exactly pleased with him, so get Zub on his side. Those two have played a lot together, and Zub can hopefully stabilize some of the offensive risk-taking mistakes that Shabbat can make. And then if Travis Green likes Clevin and Martin Palo as a third pair, I got nothing wrong. I got no problems with that. They've been good. They do what a third pair needs to do. They shut down, they're physical, and they've had good advanced analytics. Keep them as your third pair. And then that makes the easy choice of saying to Nick Jensen, hey, look, this isn't a long-term thing, but right now we got to try something different, and we're going to give you a little bit more time to recover and to be more ready, because when Nick Jensen is at his game, he's a good player and he elevates Thomas Chabot's game, but that's just not happening right now. So for me, I think that's easy lineup decisions to be making there.
When we talking about Jordan Spence, I wonder too, because he didn't get much opportunity at all in the playoffs last year, but he's played against the Oilers 3 straight years in the playoffs with LA. So I wonder if there's something to that in terms of the pre-scout or film that they've seen in the past. But to your Nick Jensen point, I'm not disagreeing with you, but looking at the decision-making from Travis Green, like, it's just not going to happen. They're going to ride him until he can't play anymore. And last night, he actually took a huge step up in minutes played. And of course, game effects plays a role in that. You're not chasing the game. You were tied for majority of the third period. I'm imagining that Jensen got a lot of his ice time in that span. But he was up over 22 minutes last night, and he'd played 16 in each of the previous 3 games and less before that. So the head coach is going to ride the Nick Jensen train until he has to get off. I think we have to kind of come to terms on that, and we'll see if decision-making changes, if the play is not up to standard, which it hasn't been so far this season. I thought that his last 2 games have been better.
Yeah.
It was a real tough start.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you, Ross. Travis Green is making it quite clear that Nick Jensen is not going to be the guy that comes out of lineup. But I do think maybe when this back-to-back happens on the 27th, 28th, the Monday, Tuesday, where they're at home against Boston and go to Chicago, maybe that's a time where you do it to get some fresh legs. And then that's even more of a, hey, we're just doing this for fresh legs thing, rather than like kind of, I don't know, insulting a veteran, if you want to go that way, or maybe disrespecting him by scratching him so early when he's like, no, I'm ready. I feel good.
Load management.
Yeah. Maybe you can phrase it that way. But I want to see more of Jordan Spence like that. He was brought over here and it was an exciting addition. And there's been flashes of really nice offensive abilities from him. And I feel like when you're a guy that's traded for the first time in your career and you're on a new team, you need opportunities and time to get acclimated and to adapt to your new line mates and defensive partners. So I just think they're kind of putting him in an unfair spot.
Interesting note on Nick Jensen. This season, he started 63% of the time in the offensive zone, way higher than last year. And even his career average is 40-some%. So Just kind of interesting to note. He was 45% last year and 59% so far. This 62%, sorry, this far this season. I got another interesting note I'll save after the break, and we'll talk about what Brady Tkachuk had to say earlier today. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NFL and NHL season is here, and it's the World Series in baseball. The Toronto Blue Jays are there, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for every kickoff, puck drop, and first pitch with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel. Ross loves using FanDuel, and you should too, because it fits any way you like to bet. Player props, same game parlays, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It makes every game even more exciting, whether you're watching your favorite team or keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. Make sure you're looking through all the promos that FanDuel has to offer. There's always a good profit boost. They got no sweat parlays once in a while. So make sure you're keeping an eye on those to pick your spots when you're going to use FanDuel. And it's quick, it's easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to all your sporting events. So if you're ready to play, what are you waiting for? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
All right, Pillsy, let me take a deep breath and get the right numbers here, because I was tripping over myself before the break. Nick Jensen has started 63% of his time in the offensive zone this year at even strength. Last year it was at 50%, and the 5 previous years under 41%. So interesting trend. We'll see if it continues. Brady Tkachuk spoke to the media today, and he was in pretty good spirits, all things considered. Billsy says the timeline is what the team says, 6 to 8 weeks. He will be able to skate a whole lot sooner.
Skating now.
Perfect. But holding pucks, they said about 3-4 weeks, right, for that?
3 to 4 weeks to start handling the puck, yeah. And look, it's obviously an unfortunate situation, but you got to make the most of it. Brady Tkachuk even said, there's parts of my game that don't involve the puck that I want to improve on. Obviously, he's hinting towards skating, not the fastest skater. I think everybody knows that. He himself would tell you that. So he's probably going to be working a lot with Shelly Kettles to work on maybe some speed, some edge work, things like that. So you got to hope that can boost that part of his game when that's all he can focus on. And then things too, like you hope that once his thumb does get better, he can find ways to be more efficient with his shot so that he doesn't have to kind of put as much pressure on it. He mentioned that when he came back in that game, when he knew that his thumb was messed up, is he had a breakaway and took a wrist shot from far, and it was a complete muffin. And he was like, yeah, that's not acceptable. Something's wrong here. So it'll be interesting to see how he looks once he recovers. But what's the date that he'll be expected to be back then? It's 6 weeks from October 13th.
I would be about November 24th.
Yeah, so before December.
Slump buster again. Lily's birthday, November 25th. That was the day that the whole season turned around.
True. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, the typically Ross Ottawa Senators season turnaround after November is over.
Yeah, so you're saying Brady Tkachuk comes back for the Montreal game December 2nd.
That would be nice. That would be nice.
I think it'd be nice if he was able to come back earlier. The Sens have their Western road trip starting on, I guess, November 20th, but they have 4 days off before that game. They play Anaheim, San Jose, LA, Vegas, and St. Louis. You know he wants to play that Blues game.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. But then they got those 4 days off, Ross, but then it's game day off, game day off, game day off, game day off, game day off.
Yeah. And then they actually finish in Dallas.
Wow.
Yeah. They finish in Dallas too on the Sunday. Random aside, the St. Louis game, I guess it's U.S. Thanksgiving, 4 p.m. on a Friday. So get ready for that. Set your clocks back.
U.S. Thanksgiving is the end of November? I don't think that's true.
You didn't know that?
The end of November?
Yeah, I think it's like third weekend of November. Yeah, U.S. Thanksgiving, November 27th.
My bad. Or is like
So it's a
we
Thursday,
like to
so it's the
call it
next
in
day.
Canada, Thursday.
Yep. But then it's the next day. It's when everyone's in their turkey comas.
I thought it was more mid-November, but whatever.
Nope, you don't know, which is surprising because you're a football guy.
Yeah. My
There
bad.
you go.
Hand up.
Yeah, all
I gotta
good.
be
So
better.
get ready for that Sens Blues game at 4:00. So let's use that as the date because that's an important one. And I bet you if Brady comes on the road trip, he's going to try to play before that too. But we'll see what the doctors say. That would mean he misses about almost 6 weeks, or just over 6.5 weeks.
I'd like to aim for 7. That way he's back earlier than the max, but it doesn't feel like he's rushed.
Okay. You know he's going to try to come back almost too early. Are you worried about that?
Yes, I am worried about that. Yes.
I did love the leadership answer that he gave about how he's able to help the team even when he's not playing. Says he's in every meeting, is ready in the intermissions. He's watching the game with the scratches in the gym and that lounge area. So he's able to help be in guys' ears if they're asking, what did he see here? What should they do in this situation? So great to see, because sometimes when players get hurt, they disappear, it feels like, and they talk about how you're almost on a completely different schedule as the rest of the guys, especially when they're on the road. Obviously, Sens at home right now, but I think it's really important for him to still be the voice in the room as the most important player in the organization.
Yeah, and another thing that Sens fans probably like to hear, he was asked, "Hey, but is this going to affect your Olympics?" And Brady said, "I'm worried about getting back to this team." Like, he didn't get into that, so that's good to hear. I want to get your opinion on this, Ross, because I think it's interesting, and I'd be interested to see what Sens fans think about it. The Ottawa Senators with another optional skate today.
Yeah.
I haven't been keeping track, but that's got to be at least 3 or maybe even 4 optional skates. Like, what does that matter to you? Do you care about that, or like, how do you feel about that?
I don't really care.
Yeah,
like they're all at the rink. It's not like they're all having complete days off. Like there's a lot more, and people say you have to do the systems and go through it. I get that. I also think they're doing a lot of video on the PK, and these guys have played hockey a lot. I don't think that them skating for 30 minutes on a day in between a game on either side is going to make or break anything.
Yeah, and that's fair. I'm not like enraged by it, but I think when there's a glaring issue in your game, which is the penalty kill, sure, you can watch video, but I wouldn't mind to see them out there working on it when you're dead last in the league. And the reason you've lost multiple games last night in particular is because of your penalty kill. I wouldn't mind seeing them work on it.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind at all. I think that would go a long way. Now, I know they go 1 for 3 on the kill last night, but I'm not willing to use the Oilers as a measuring stick.
How about all the other games of being dead last 32 out of 32 in penalty kill percentage? Can we use that metric?
We can, and that sets the stage for tomorrow, because if you allow the Flyers power play to go 20% or higher, that's what I'm setting at. The PK has to be 80% in the Flyers game. So one for 5, I will allow. Okay? 1 for 5. I need a 4 for 4 perfect. If you take another penalty, then I'll come at you for the discipline. Okay? You're either going to get roasted for the penalty kill or the discipline, unless you're perfect 4 or less. That's how I feel about Thursday's game. And I know you're more tied up in how bad the PK is, and rightfully so. I will join you, and I might even bring you down a couple more levels into despair if they have a bad PK tomorrow night.
Okay, man. Oh, I don't want to be in despair, but if you pull me down there, I'll join you, I guess.
Pull you down. If Michkov has like 3 power play points tomorrow, and Couturier's banging one in the front of the net, I'm gonna have a full crash out.
Yeah, we're going to get into this tomorrow, but just quickly, where are the Philadelphia Flyers? Okay, the Philadelphia Flyers power play is 25th in the league at 15.8%.
Good.
So
that's they're not like so bad that I feel like they're going to bounce back. They're in the really bad category.
Yes, exactly.
Better than the Sens PK, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, nice. I was rolling on YouTube. Last season's regular season points leader. So please disregard Drake Batherson having 65 points. That'd be cool, but not yet. Drake needs to score. I need to see a goal or two from Drake this weekend, like either tomorrow or Saturday. He plays well against Washington historically.
Oh, yeah?
I think so. Let's find out.
Okay.
This is either going to be a great fact at the end of the show or it's going to be a complete miss, and you can just laugh at me.
While
11 points,
out...
7 goals, 7 goals in 13 games against Washington.
11 points, 7 goals, 13 games. Okay. Now, I will mention he does have 4 assists in 4 games. So, that's not terrible. You said you want to be a point per game guy. He's a point per game guy.
He's a point per game guy, but I'd like him to score a goal.
Word.
Pills, any final thoughts on today's show?
Yes, I do have a final thought. The Athletic did a pretty interesting article, Ross. I don't know if you caught this, by James Myrtle, analyzing 2025-2026 NHL teams by age, height, weight, and nationality.
Whoa.
Have you read it or no?
I know that we're Team Denmark. We got 2.
Okay. That's not important to the questions I was going to ask you, so that's fine. Where do you think the Ottawa Senators are in average age, like in the league? Like, tell me top, middle, bottom.
So would top be old?
Top is old. Yes, top old.
Okay. I will say lower middle.
That's pretty accurate. They don't have the numbers here, but the Ottawa Senators age is 28.3. The league average age is 28.4. So that's where you want to be. Now let's go height. Where do you think the Sens are?
Oh, 11th.
No, they're like 12th,
upper half.
I want to say they're mid at 73.6 inches. So like for everyone being like, oh, this team's obsessed with small players, blah blah.
Now do their prospect pool.
They're right. Yeah, exactly. 73.6. The average height is right around there. So same. And then, 73.5. So they're right at the average as well. And then you go to weight. The Ottawa Senators are in the top 10 of weight at 204.5 pounds average. The average weight is 201. So like this team is where you want to be average age. It's where you want to be average height, average weight. So like, there's no glaring issues with the way this roster is set up as far as age, weight, and height goes. So you hope that they can find a way to be an average team.
Way more copium than I've heard from you earlier in the show.
I just thought it was interesting, Ross, because so many Sens fans are like, why are we obsessed with small defensemen like Spence, blah, blah, blah. Well, we're not really. Like, that's one guy, and he's a bottom pair defenseman. So I don't know. I just thought it was interesting to see all that data put together and to see like, oh, this team's the heaviest. Like the Leafs are the heaviest. And this team's the smallest, things like that. So
who's the smallest?
Nashville, as far as weight goes. The Leafs have, I think it's like 15 pounds of average weight more than Nashville.
Jeez Louise. Yeah. There you go. I would like to see the Ottawa Senators rank higher in wins. Personally, and we'll see if we can get there because the postcast, we've had some vent casts so far this season.
It was a mid-cast last night.
Last night was, but we've had some not so great ones. Home opener comes to mind. Buffalo comes to mind, of course. But it's still early in the season, and the Senators have an opportunity to get back on track. We're hoping that the Belleville Senators can get back on track or on track, period. They have not won a game yet so far this season. They've played 4. Tonight, the Laval Rocket, not an easy task, but with Carter Yakimchuk, they are still appointment viewing. And we said before the season, they have talent. They need to get better goaltending. We'll see if Levy's in net tonight, what he can do. Might be Levy against Jacob Fowler, which would be a really sick goalie matchup. So we'll be following along with that at Sens Central. For today, though, we say goodbye. Double dip tomorrow. We got a game day preview, and then we'll see in the postcast after the game. For more, you can go check out the full catalog of Locked On Senators wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on YouTube. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan, and this has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.